AN is in solidarity with the NLC.
Well, if you look at the country generally, everything is on the high side. Most especially the common man. The masses are really passing through hell. You understand? So if federal government will consider its own people and also yield to the quest of the people, we are not saying federal government must pay, but they should do something reasonably that we can consider.
In Lagos, all operations at the local airport have been cancelled. These are images from the Murtala Muhammed International Airport.
So I have been here since 5:30 a.m. I was supposed to board United Nigeria. Unfortunately, the airports have been grounded by NLC. Obviously, the strike has commenced here at the airports. I've been here in the airport. All the airlines practically grounded. All the officials have told us that the planes are ready to move, but unfortunately, the NLC have taken over the control towers and they can't move. So that's the situation I'm in right now.
In Ogun State, the NLC team was asked to monitor compliance to the ongoing indefinite strike.
We have just concluded the hierarchy of NLC yesterday into 2 meetings, and we are all poised and prepared for this action. And as I'm standing before you, we are only respecting you as a partner in progress, as a press and gentleman. And as we are living here, we have designated all the affiliates of the 53 affiliates of the Nigerian Labour Congress to man individual government and private sector formation in ensuring that this particular directive is adhered.
In Delta, there is strict compliance to the strike in Asaba, the state capital, as the Unity Secondary School is under lock and key. Students who are supposed to begin their external examination are now returning to their homes as no teacher is in the premises. Report also suggests that Labour Union has shut down the national grid, resulting in nationwide blackout. The Transmission Company of Nigeria in a statement said the national grid was shut down at about 2:19 a.m. The Benin transmission operator under the Independent System Operations Unit of the TCN reported that all operators were driven away from the control room and without any form of control or supervision, the Benin Area Control Center was brought to zero.
Well, thank you very much. As an earlier report that went out, it gives us an overview. And that last aspect of the report where the national grid was shut down as a result of labor leaders, barring workers from coming there. In fact, you heard the report just a few seconds ago say that operatives were chased out. Now, this is something that Labour quickly responded to, denouncing and denying that particular bit of the report, that this was not true. In fact, that's what led NLC to go on and explain that they wanted to be understood that they do have a right, and it is guaranteed by the Constitution, again, as part of the labor response, to go on strike. So, on the one hand, the strike, the national grid being shut down by Labour, they say that, well, Labour is an affiliate, the national grid workers are affiliate members, and so they are bound to follow them. But as to them actually virtually going and disconnecting things themselves, that part of it Labour denied and said was not true. And they thought it was a campaign, instead as much, a campaign of calumny against Labour's earlier stated right to go on strike. So you can call in. As I said, one doesn't want to say too much as to the legal angle because it's a technical and a professional aspect. We'll wait for those who are so trained. We're going to be joined by Dr. Tunji Abayomi. But if you had any thoughts on this whole matter about the legal aspects, perhaps you could phone in your preliminary thoughts on the matter. What are, in your mind, you might well be a lawyer, that might be very helpful, but anybody, what are your thoughts as to the legality or otherwise of this strike? There are those who would take it from, the human angle perspective, that, look, the big fish, the big guns in society are not going to be affected by this strike. Whatever happens, they can always weather the storm. It doesn't matter how scarce or how expensive things be, they'll be able to weather the storm. But what about the regular, ordinary Joe, citizen Joe, so to speak? Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir. Your thoughts?
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
This is my thought as a man who have been part of the struggle in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The guest this morning used to be our guys in those days in Nadeko. There's no legality or illegality of strike. Strike is like a time of civil war. Everything breaks down. And this is why every nation must try to avoid it. Because you may start it, you won't know how it ends. So there's not actually any legality or not legality. It's a right of people to protest when things do not go well. I started from about textile mill when we were in textile mill. When those days things don't work well, we shut down the factory. It's that like rebellion against the system. There's no legality about it. But I want to plead to the federal government to not allow it to repeat again. The information we get from our friends who is in this negotiation is not palatable. I think by now, the gospel truth is this, Yori. I've said before. Who is planning for me? Yori, you are working for a station, you earn salary. Who is planning for some of us who are not working? That is the question we ask every day. Even though they are going to pay labor this and that, the majority of Nigerians who are not working in any company, who are private citizens, who is planning for us? The person that plans for us is good governance. When the cost of things is okay, and again, Yori, let's be frank. What can we use 60,000 to buy today? How can you use 60,000 to at least 22 children? If you have 2 children and a wife and a husband, we must be frank. What makes me feel good about this government is about the president. The head is one of us. You know how he's struggling in Nadeko to get the best governance. So he knows what is going on. And I don't think he loves what is happening. He must talk to the negotiating team to come to a point. If Nigeria pay 95 to 100,000, yes, it may be better. Less than $70, it will be good. Anything more than 100,000 will throw us into more confusion. So we're pleading to the labor. Come around 1995, but let's stop, dragging this thing. I had the statement from the federal government secretary. Those statement is not necessary now. The deed has been done. In this palace, that's what we call the pull and the push. What is pushing labor to strike? What is pulling them not to strike? So there must be push and the pull. There's something that pushes you to do what to do. We must give them minimum wage, not living wage. But within 95 or 100, I think it's better. God bless Nigeria.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Appreciate your calling in. As I said, you don't have to be a lawyer to call in, but he's called in, and he was a unionist at one time. So he's given us the benefit of his feeling about the matter, that he's not too sure about going into what is referred to as the legality or legalisms of this whole strike thing. And as he said, I was just looking at this subject, and strikes have been going on forever. I think there's a record here that the first strike happened way back in the Netherlands, somewhere around 1152, and under the rule of this and that. So it's been going on from prehistoric times, and the rulers then were astonished, caught pants down by this strike, and ever since then there's been this contention as to how legally right is it for people to go on strike, which is a form of rebellion, which is what Reverend Dominic was talking about. But the issues are there, the contentions are there. And by the way, Labour is not alone in saying that the conditions are very, very tough and that we don't have a living wage. People are talking about a minimum wage. I think I've heard conversation along the lines of worry about a living wage, not a minimum wage, and that good governance, add that too. If you throw that into the pot, then there will be less instances of this. But since legalism sort of came into it, people have begun to talk about how legal was it to go on strike? Labor itself has its own array of legal aspects. I think I've heard them talk about, look, government has not, held their side of many legal decisions that were made in the past. But let me not go on. I have someone from Cross River. Who is calling in from Cross River?
Stephen.
Stephen, good morning, sir. Go right ahead. Go right ahead, please.
Stephen calling from Cross River, Ebru Chibara.
You're very welcome. Please go ahead, Stephen.
In fact, I am disappointed on behalf of every Nigerian. The strike, everybody, we do not expect that the strike should be called up by this time. Because the abnormality, things are getting wrong. A national item, which is not even the problem the Nigeria are looking at. Look at the hunger, look at what is going on. And our Mr. President is taking everybody to be a tata, a child. Whatever he feels like, that is what he's doing. He's not caring about the hunger, what the Nigeria are passing through. Okay, if he feel like we should go back to our own national anthem, what about the price, the fuel, and the things, our food items, which we normally buy? Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Please, I am pleading.
Okay.
I am pleading that even as they strike, whether they call it relax or whatever, Nigeria are not happy.
Indeed.
In fact, Jesus Christ asked his disciples that, what do people say about me? What do people really say? The president should ask the nation, what is really going on? What is people saying about me? What are people talking about?
All right. All right. But I'll tell you what, Stephen, thank you very much for your contribution. But from your point of view, do you think it was legal of NLC to go on strike? Or do you think, like Reverend Dominic, that leave legal to one side, the country had? Do you have a thought on whether or not it was legal? Oh, I think we lost, okay. The guy with his hand on the button had sort of disconnected that particular caller, not knowing that I was going to ask a follow-up question. But that is our thrust today. Whatever you may think, we will soon have valuable legal perspective on that question in the person of Dr. Tunji Abayomi, a constitutional lawyer who is on the way to the studio as we speak. It does happen now and again. So the whole question of this particular legalism was the Nigerian Labour Congress within its rights. They certainly say that they are, but the question is being asked that when you look at all that has happened, you look at what was lost in those 2 days, quite frankly, at least more than 1 day of actively, taking on the effects of the strike. But Garba in Makurdi, did I get that right? Garba in Makurdi, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Let me go this way expressly, Uncle Yori.
Sure.
In fact, we have to ask ourselves a simple question. What's the genesis of all this strike and opening the national grid? Is the federal government fault? It's due time to implement, to revisit minimum wage. We all agree with that. There's a law binding it. It's apartheid. When the government do the right thing, all this will not happen. I always ask myself a question. When you see something going wrong, ask yourself, what's the cost of it? Everyone will not have the money to go to the strike again. I think the government do the needful. Negotiation is going on. Therefore, say they will not agree with 60,000. What the government supposed to do? Call them again. Keep on negotiating. Let's see them, their intent. Let them be intentional. But the government feels like they don't have mind towards it. Look at what's going on. Tell me, how much is basket of tomato now? How much is bag of rice now? How much is cup of garri? How much is 60,000? What is our Reverend Dominic said? What 60,000 will be for you today? You have a children. And as an African, no Nigerian that is working, living wage, as working as a collective wage, that you don't have 1 or 2 person for his family that is taken care of. So what 60,000 will do for him? How much you pay school fees? How much you pay medical bills? How much you pay transportation? Ask yourself these questions. I'm telling you, as someone said now, Nigerians are not.
Well, thank you very much, Garba, for calling in. Just before we lost the call, we did get the gist, and thank you very much for it. If you're just joining us, we intend to look at the legal angle with a professional, a constitutional lawyer, in fact, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, who is on his way to the studio. But in the meantime, Nigerians, because we're all, what do they call us? We're all interested parties. Every last Nigerian, especially those who took the brunt of the strike. The point is often made that you have a strike like this, it is not the high and mighty that are affected most by it. It is the very people, the very part of society that labor is, speaking for and fighting for that suffer the most. And so, in a non-legal sort of way, there are many people who feel that that strike was not useful at all, simply because it affected me, the ordinary Nigerian, negatively. My condition was already bad. You now add, for those who depend entirely on electricity, for example, for their sustenance and livelihood, I was not able to do any work on those days. Even in the best of times, we can't be guaranteed a full stretch of electricity. So for those kind of non-legal commentaries, we're just asking ordinary Nigerians. In the meantime, by the way, I can tell you that Dr. Tunji Abayomi is in the studio. So, but we have prefaced this by, asking, what does the ordinary Nigerian feel? And good morning to you, Dr. Tunji Abayomi. Thank you very much for coming in.
I apologize to your audience.
Yes.
I had the life of a lawyer. It's not in his hand. It's in the hand of clients. And I had my best client called from London.
Oh, okay.
It was hard to attend.
One understands it.
And it was an emergency, and it's an older person.
Thank you very much for, indeed, for still putting us in the mix, even at that.
So terribly so.
So it's okay, because I'm sure people will be relieved that you are here now, so they don't have Yori Folani postulating. I didn't dare shout. What I did was to say, in the meantime, let us ordinary people who are stakeholders in this, let us, I beg your pardon? Let us ordinary people have our own bit, our own say, before the professional comes in and talks to us from the point of view of law. But even before then, on that line of what I've been saying, Mahmoud has called in. Good morning, Mahmoud. Oh dear, I lost Mahmoud, who was calling in from Mahmoud in Kaduna State. I think he's immediately trying to get back in. I understand that we lost him. Well, sorry about that, Mahmoud. Now we have our expert in the house. We've been hearing, and just by the way, Dr. Abayomi, just a couple of calls, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and they've said that, look, this strike business, this strike thing, don't bring the law into it. It's a matter of, it's a feeling. It's a rebellion against untenable conditions. And so don't bring the law into it when I'm suffering, when I'm hungry, when I can't think straight, when my whole life has been turned upside down. You say I shouldn't go on strike? So this is a fine place for us to say, Dr. Abayomi, what are the legal angle to this strike?
Well, first and foremost, it's important that if we don't have law in a society, you have chaos.
Did we have chaos on the day of the strike in Nigeria?
Well,
airports were not up. The grid was shut down.
Well, that's really the problem. Here, it's important to understand that the intention of law usually is to create a balance between rights and responsibility. Now, in the case of strike, the intention of the law is that people have a right to associate to protect their interests within the contemplation of law. In other words, the freedom to associate is not unlimited, like all freedoms. Otherwise, if we don't have controlled freedom, you have chaos, you have a situation where somebody can take a dagger in exercise of freedom to do whatever he likes.
Yes, but sir, exploring these legalities that you spoke about, there's the right to legally gather,
yes,
associate.
Subject to the dictates of law. It's not unlimited.
Now, where does strike come in?
Now,
where does gathering become a strike?
Okay, now, the first and foremost, before you go on strike, the law establishes some conditions that must be established. The other issue is that strike itself is for the purposes of protecting the terms of employment. We will look at a whole lot of the way things work in this country. We are really not guided sufficiently by the rule of law. The other issue is that the law does not allow you to go on industrial action in certain situations. For example,
industrial action and strike.
Strike, basically the same thing. You know.
Okay.
Now, when you are talking of essential services, there is a ban, I think it's under Section 31(6) of the Trade Union Act and Trade Disputes.
Okay.
It restricts, in fact, the position is that you cannot even go on strike if you are an employee within the essential service sector.
Okay. But
you have to have been working for non-essential service sector before you can go on strike.
Now, the national grid certainly must be part of the essential services.
Well, certainly it is.
Certainly it is.
There are lots of utilities, national grid, hospitals, etc.
You can't go on strike.
You cannot.
The police,
you are not allowed. Police,
firefighters,
and so on and so forth. The whole issue is that you cannot hold the nation to ransom. The nation must continue. Let us also understand that there are people who are not employed or people who are employed on their own in a nation. And the nation belongs to both the employees who are entitled to go on strike to protect the terms of employment and non-employees. In other words, the nation covers all of them. Therefore, as employees, you cannot hold the nation to ransom to the detriment of others who are not in your sector.
Okay.
That's a balance. The other issue is that there are some essential services that are absolutely necessary for the running of a nation.
And so you can
all the interests of its citizens. For example, in the hospital, you need power. Let us say somebody is on oxygen support. He needs electricity in order to continue that support. When you withdraw the electricity, then what happens? You expose him to death. No nation will allow that. Now you are talking of security and so on and so forth. So you must first of all be in non-essential sector before you can participate
legally in a strike.
Legally in a strike.
So if anybody in the essentials, such as you have explained it to us, was to take part in that strike, it's quite frankly an illegal act.
It is actually an illegal act. You can be charged to court for that because you're actually violating the law.
So the point that was made by Labour, for example, by its leadership in explaining that, first of all, we denounced the federal government saying that we had anything to do with it, but that as an affiliate member of the NLC, the grid workers were bound to comply with this strike. You've just shown us.
Well, but the point is that the very law to strike is taken from the law, the Trade Union Act. You cannot take part of the law and reject part of the law. You are exercising your right to go on industrial action because the law gives you that right as part of the freedom of association under Section 40 of the Constitution. Now, even now say that, because you are a member and affiliate and you disregard part of that law, I think that no nation would accept that.
Indeed. But as you know, it would appear that the government is playing a kind of softball with this because there are emotions involved. And for instance, government is not explaining it as starkly as you are.
Yes.
So that must have been in an effort to maintain the peace and all almost a bit like the Yoruba proverb about call the guy who has problems upstairs, call him the husband of the wife. So that we can go, and so that we can sort out. So that we can sort out.
I think the problem of our nation is that there's too much anger.
Let me come back for you to explain that. Let me quickly go on a break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Okay, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. If indeed you are just arriving, our guest is Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer, and we are looking at the nationwide industrial strike and exploring its legal aspects. So just before we went on break, Dr. Abayomi was saying that, quite frankly, that is after he had explained that there are people to whom it is not legal to go on strike because it is so stated in the law. But then he went on to say, but part of this whole issue is that there's a lot of anger. I thought I'd let you expand a bit on what you meant.
You see, when the people of a nation perceive their government as pitiless, I'm talking of perceive. Now, I'm not saying the government is pitiless.
But if that is the perception...
But I'm saying that when they perceive the government as pitiless, and lacking in compassion, they disregard the law and act in anger, irrationally. That's typical worldwide from human evolutionary progression. Now, if we follow the dialogue in the social media, there is obviously a lot of anger that the National Assembly is able to buy cars, expensive cars, import expensive cars at a time when the nation is going through a lot of pain and the people are struggling to eat. And this issue is placed on the perception that even what is paid to the legislature, the legislator, is ungodly. Because by comparison, if you look at the minimum wage and we compare it to annual salary, even to monthly salary, I think I understand they make about 28 million or thereabout in a month. So the monthly salary of, for example, a senator, we are talking of over 200 years of hard work for a worker to make a monthly salary.
Like that.
Now, but the money that is paid to the government officials, particularly the legislature, is made through the sweat, the labor, the struggle of the people.
The people.
So
including the Nigerian worker.
Including the Nigerian worker. So when you now look at it, okay, monkey they work, baboon they chop. And when you have that kind of situation, you lose control. You lose rationality.
It becomes an emotional
It is
issue.
like the Russian, a few years under one of the presidents of Russia. He said a hungry mouth does not understand the language of persuasion. That is really the situation in our country. So decisions of government needs to take into consideration, and I want to emphasize this, decisions of government need to take into consideration the consequences in terms of effect, concrete direct effect, and perception
the effect
of the people.
The effect on the perception of the people.
The perception effect on the people. You can now, for example, say to the people, with due respect, the people just disregard what you are saying. You are talking nonsense. Because as far as they are concerned, they see you riding about in a look. I even have that kind of situation. in my situation where, for example, I was entitled to buy a brand new car in one place that I was appointed. I was entitled to a brand new car. And we look at a brand new car. It's going to cost over 100 million. I said, I can't ride that car. It will be scandalous.
Now, that thought is extended in the commentary of Nigerians when they see the legislators, the public servants, everybody, party officials, the presidency. They see the long queue. I mean, what are those things? Entourages. And people begin to wonder, are we in the same country?
Are we in the same
doing
country?
Things whereas we can't say that every country should become like a socialist country where we read that some leaders are driving around in a Peugeot. Maybe that's not our style.
Yes, that's not
our style. But the opulence that is on constant display.
Opulence that is constantly displayed by the leaders of government who are actually supposed to be the servants of the people
and let's go back to the word.
Protect their own interests.
And let's go back to the word we started off with. It's legal.
Yes.
It's legal for these people to be this way you are explaining. Yes. That has now led to the anger.
Yeah, but
we're now questioning the legality of the NLC strike.
That is it, but it's just like I was telling you. But when I said I cannot ride on a brand new car at the expense
that was a moral decision you took
people
individually.
People were telling me, this is your right. Now. It's your entitlement, and so on and so forth. But leadership...
Your ethics.
Leadership requires compassion, rationality, understanding. It must be, it cannot be insensitive to the environment.
So maybe these are some of the things, as we're looking at this whole matter about the legal angle to the strikes, these are some of the things that going forward, government and all of them in the National Assembly, whether it's Senate, whether it's House of Reps, they need to be thinking about.
From the top,
they need to be thinking about, because you present in that way. No fault of theirs. It's legal. It's the entitlement. But there's this whole matter of the ordinary person is going to arrive at the word you used, is going to arrive at the perception that they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They are pitiless oligarchy. That's the way people look at it. I mean, you are talking
but Labour sort of knows better, don't they? So do they have the right, if I'm not saying that they have, that was the way they thought, do they have the right to think like that? Because there are intellectuals among them. There are people who
even the leadership of Labour. It's not the problem in our nation is not just about the leadership of government. Okay. Even the leadership of Labour. There are situations in the past that have confronted Labour seriously, because the leadership of Labour will live in Nikon Noga, stay there, and then they come out to demonstrate, so purportedly for the rights of the workers. You understand what I mean?
I do.
I have fought against this.
Yes. Let me bring on Ken. Good morning, Ken. Where are you calling from? But welcome. Ken. Ken calling from Abuja. Good morning. Oh, dear. Don't tell me you can't hear us. Ken, can you hear us?
Dr. Ken.
Okay. Is it because I didn't put doctor? Dr. Ken. Good morning, sir.
Yes, I was your guest on June 12th. You remember?
Oh, thank you for that too. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for that. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, let me go straight to the point. I agree with the lawyer there. I agree with the learned. Yes, I agree with the lawyer there that I agree with the lawyer that they are not supposed to go on strike on essential services, especially the national grid, because it's very risky. Like he explained, if somebody is in the hospital or anything can happen. So there are some areas that are supposed to have left untouched. The national grid, the hospitals, essential services. Those areas we are not supposed to have been touched, but they went there and forced the workers out. That was very illegal. But as for having the legal right to go on strike, they do, to protect, you know, the living conditions as they wish. But they should also realize that this strike affects the common man, you and I, more than the people that are targeting. Because the rich people, they have generators, they have diesel, they have everything. But you and I, the common men, are the ones who are going to suffer more. So they should try as much as possible to reach an agreement with government. And government should also try as much as possible to meet them halfway. You know, that is my contribution.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ken, you know, for coming on the program. Indeed, and as I said, thank you for coming on June 12th as well. Yeah, so, yeah, it's beginning to be clear. A lot of Nigerians might not have known that the legality of the thing, there are aspects of it that are legal and there are aspects of it that are not. Yes. And I think you were saying that you can't cherry pick.
Yes.
You can't cherry pick.
Cannot.
You cannot cherry pick.
Every citizen is bound by the law.
So now Labour, you know, for its own purposes, and we were making the point about they are not ignoramuses in the NLC. They know these things. No, yes. They're not going to widen their eyes and say, oh, is that true? No, they knew this, and they still, nevertheless, went ahead, not cautioning the people that, wait, where it's a national strike, everybody, it's an almost complete shutdown, except for and these essential services. They didn't do that.
Or even to recognize that they violated the law and give assurance to the country.
Yes.
I mean,
they haven't done that. Yeah. What they've done is to explain their legal right to go on strike. Yes. But they're not talking about where they infringed on the law.
You cannot be arrogant and wrong. That's it. No nation will allow that, you know.
So going forward, perhaps Labour will take note of this. I was saying that the Minister of the Minister of Labour was saying that government was actually taken by surprise when the strike was suddenly announced. Are there sort of are there conditions before you also go on strike? So that,
you are supposed
so that a minister can't be saying that she was caught by surprise.
Yes, there must have been negotiation, and you have to give notice.
But I don't think that notice was actually given.
You see, the problem is that, like I said, there is anger.
It was as if NLC hijacked the nation.
Yes.
You know,
and it's not really paying any attention to the rule of law. It's more preoccupied with the rule of force presently. But this is as a result of anger and anguish.
Okay, that's the point you
made. As a result of anger and anguish. And the interesting thing is that the anger belongs to them, the anguish, the people. So because of the anguish of the people, they understand the anger of the NLC.
And you know, well...
and they feel a sense of holiness in the struggle. When in fact it is contrary to law.
They have a sense of righteous anger.
Yes, a sense of righteous anger. This is the situation. So, and it is important. Look, it's like Niccolo Machiavelli said in his book, The Prince. It is important, a good government must ensure that it is not hated by the people. A good government must ensure that it is not hated by the people. This nation, I really feel for the president and his government, because the problems that confront this nation are not his creation. and you have endemic disorder, long, deep, and well established. And he's now trying to change it. Like I said again in this country, the problems of Nigeria are like a wasting disease, like cancer. At the early stage, it's difficult to detect, but easy to resolve. But we are now at a late stage. It's easy to detect, but difficult
to resolve.
Like cancer.
Let me bring on Omowa in Abuja. Good morning to you.
We are now at a late stage. It's easy to detect, but difficult to resolve. Let me bring on Omowa in Abuja.
Good morning, Uncle Falari.
Thank you very much for calling. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah. Please, I just want to appeal to Labour because the National Assembly members have done the wrong thing by buying expensive cars. That does not mean that the Labour too should not be patriotic, asking for a very horrendous amount in this type of economy. I think what Labour should be talking about is how the government can get down the prices of goods and commodities. Because if they insist on that amount, then they may turn our currency to be a worthless piece of paper. Instead of they should be talking about the potency of our currency now, not the amount we are earning. I think they should put their prayer more on government to bring down the goods, the prices of the cost of living in the country, and not the amount workers will be having now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omawa, for calling in. In other words, a return to common sense. What do you think of government's handling of? Because government, in responding. Even when they said they are relaxing, which is what we interpreted as suspending the strike, the government hasn't said, maybe government hasn't put a foot wrong, but that strike was illegal, but government hasn't underlined that point. Part of a normal strategy.
I think the executive government has actually tried to understand the anguish, generally by its decisions. For example, I really have to commend the president when he came out that, look, traveling abroad and all this traveling with a lot of delegations and so on and so forth, he stopped it. Then there are lots of other steps he took within the executive arm of government. For example, he stopped the celebration of his birthday, which perhaps would have consumed a lot of money, and so on and so forth.
Which he was doing as a private citizen.
Which was doing as a private
because of perceptions.
Because of the perception. And understanding of the delicacy of this time, considering the pain and the anguish of the people.
Okay.
Now, I think that is good. I think it's important to build faith in government through decisions of government officials. But we haven't heard anything from the National Assembly. That, because of the situation in the country, because of the pain of the people,
at this point.
We have not heard, for example, from the President of the Senate that we're going to do this.
No,
we're going to do
nothing like that.
What we see is a lot of expenditure. They are renewing their halls, they're building their chambers, spending money, buying themselves cars, and so on and so forth.
Our direct representatives.
But the point is, they are not laborers. This is the issue.
So there's
when you look at the
National Assembly needs to hear the doctor. Please,
they are not laborers. What are they doing compared to the farmer or the woman in the market or the teacher? They are doing their job, but the point is that there should be showing.
The game the National Assembly is playing is that we've not done anything illegal. Look at the angles. Look at the paper. Look at it. It's my right. It's my entitlement. That's the game that Labour is playing, that we're not doing anything legal. But you are saying beyond that, the perception that you are giving off is the big issue. You said earlier one of the biggest things is for a government to ensure that
that
it is not hated
by the people.
You know, now you guys are the way you are.
Let me give you
Nigeria.
a simple example, Mr. Folani. How does it make sense for a man who was a governor, now spent 8 years, established all the plenitude of office? I think it was a philosopher who said, when you have washed them in oil, in Persian oil, they never want to leave.
Yes.
Now, after being washed in Persian oil
for 8 years,
he leaves.
Yes.
He is now entitled to a lot of pension and gratuity. Cars, house, all of that.
But they say they don't do that anymore.
Well, some of them, I do not know whether they do that, but at least
yes.
we have...
Because I believe that it's illegal. I think it's been proven that it's illegal.
Well, I do not know, but the point is that he now goes to Senate.
And hopefully gets another 8 years.
And then he's there again. This time it's not even Persian oil, maybe Greek oil now, or something like that. So, you know, these are the perceptions that
yes.
that bring hostility, anger, and anguish.
Indeed. Well,
from the people. When tomato today, you buy 3 tomatoes for 500 naira.
I mean, it's unheard of.
Pepper is even more expensive than tomato. And of course, it has its own positive in the sense that everybody is going to the farm. Now, myself, I started farming now. Everybody is going to the farm.
Remember this was a thing Obasanjo was advocating back in this Operation Feed the Nation Day.
Yes.
Find a patch in your backyard there.
And even in those days, when we were in school, you know, we had gardens.
Yeah, you're right. School gardens.
School gardens. Each of us had school gardens. Well, all of that disappeared. So we have to return to common sense as a nation, as a people. Both the people and their governments.
Dr. Tunji Abayomi, that's a fine place to leave this question and this conversation. The legal angle is, you've explained that, it is what it is. But interestingly, you now explain that it's all coming from anger. The breaking of the law is coming from anger, and that one of the most important things to any government is to ensure that it is not hated. Patience ran out.
Yes.
And when patience ran out, anger, stepped in. Yes. So thank you very much, Dr. Tunji Abayo, giving us the philosophical approach as well as the legal approach. And I think there have been words for just about every component of society. The presidency, the National Assembly, the citizenry certainly has been listening with keen interest to all of this. So there's a sense in which the citizenry is feeling being vindicated.
I want to apologize again that I was late.
We understand. I'm sure they'll take it on board in that attitude. Guest has been Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer. I will leave it here, and do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition of the program. I am Yori Folani. Do have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.
Following the inauguration of commercial operations of the Abuja Rail Mass Transit System by Mr. President and his grant of 6 months free train ride for all train commuters, train services have commenced in earnest since Thursday the 30th of May as follows. Train departs metro station for airport train station 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. daily. Departs airport train station for metro station 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. daily. Second train departs Edu train station for Bazangu train station 8:40 a.m., 10:40 a.m., 4:10 p.m. and 6:10 p.m. daily. Depart Bazangu train station for Edu train station 7:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m., 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. daily. For more information, visit our various train stations at Stadium, Kukuaba 1 and 2, Wupa and Basenjua, as well as Gwagwa, Dede and Kagini. Enjoy a world of safe, affordable and comfortable transportation system. Welcome on board FCT Administration. Announcer.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit and enjoy a great active and healthy lifestyle. What if there was a convenient and affordable way to improve your health, improve your mood and lose weight right in your own home? Introducing the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill. The compact foldable treadmill that makes being active and losing weight fast and easy. Just unfold it and walk, jog or run while you watch your favorite programs on TV. And when you're done, just fold it and store it away. Now that's convenience. The secret is its advanced design that houses a 1 horsepower motor that is twice the size of most treadmills, packed into a nice compact unit, powering every step you take. You get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill System complete with a rugged commercial-grade ultra-durable traction belt, large LCD multifunctional display that displays speed, time, distance, calories and has 12 different exercise programs, as well as a magnetic safety key for added security.
The SportX treadmill has really helped me get back in shape after childbirth. I love it because it's compact and can fit anywhere in the house. And when I'm done, I fold and put it away. Easy peasy.
This is the best piece of equipment for people like me who want to stay active without leaving the home. I simply unfold it and use it while I watch my favorite program on TV.
Joining a gym can cost an absolute fortune, and you could be paying up to 490,000 naira in annual gym fees. Get the SportX Compact Digital Treadmill to save the cost and work out of the convenience of your home. You would normally pay 500,000 naira for a treadmill like this. Call the number on your screen now and get the SportX Compact Digital Treadmill for not 450,000 naira, but for just 400,000 naira only. And that's not all. You can get the SportX Compact Digital Treadmill in 2 easy payments of 200,000 naira. That's right, pay twice and get this amazing fitness solution. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get the SportX Compact Digital Treadmill delivered to you for free wherever you are in Nigeria, and it comes with a ShopX 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied with the treadmill, send it back for a full refund. But hurry, limited stock available. Call the number on your screen now or scan the QR code or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts.
The preceding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and welcome to TVC News at 12. The House of Representatives has called for improved citizen engagement to curb the trend of killing of security personnel. It also called on government and security agencies to tackle the rising insecurity. National Assembly correspondent Jokia Adisa reports.
Insecurity tops the list of the many challenges facing Nigeria, but security personnel on peace missions have suddenly become objects of attacks, killed and maimed at will. Only recently, 17 security officers were killed in Okoma, Delta State. Last week, 5 soldiers were again killed in Abia State.
But the souls of the departed rest in perfect.
The chairman has committee on police says there is the need to curb the trend.
This form of attack and killing of military personnel by gunmen in the southeast and other parts of Nigeria has a potential of depending the morale of our armed forces, endangering the lives and property of Nigerians and affecting the war of insurgents, which has no far recorded and success.
Our armed forces are our most prized assets, who sacrifice day and night to keep Nigeria one, to keep Nigeria safe, are randomly killed by non-state actors. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed extremely sad.
In another motion, the the Parliament calls on security agencies to review the nation's security architecture and ensure safety of lives of the people across the country.
Collaboration and coordination among our state governments, security agencies, and relevant stakeholders to develop holistic and sustainable solutions to the challenges posed by bandits and other security challenges in Northwest and Nigeria in general.
Attacked in the forest of Panshin, Kanke, Kanam, the road that linked the three local governments of the constituency, and other kidnapping activities of local farmers have been going on unabated.
The death of Ebuka Nwoko in Nigeria and in South Africa is now a subject of probe before the Parliament.
South Africa, a nation we once looked to as a beacon of hope and progress, now stands as a stark reminder of the systematic injustice and abuse our people suffer abroad.
Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu calls for citizen support with the recently launched Peace Fund to take care of families of slain security officials. The House calls for more enlightenment of the citizens on the essential services provided by security agencies to end the serial attacks. Joke Adsa, TVC News, Abuja.
The President Tinubu administration is committed to achieving national dairy production security, with a long-term goal of exporting dairy products to other African countries under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima said this during the launch of the policy document in Abuja. Uloma Oyemachi has details.
Since 2001, when the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations acknowledged the importance of dairy, individuals and countries have celebrated the crucial role of milk worldwide. This year's theme, harnessing the nutrition and investment opportunities in a sustainable dairy value chain, is considered particularly significant. Nigerian children are especially impacted, with UNICEF reporting that 25 million children in Nigeria are undernourished and stunted, making the country rank first in Africa in this regard.
Not just unveiling the policy, it's just a process and a necessary part of bringing Nigerians to see what government is doing. And in this case, assuring Nigerians that the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on course.
Recognizing the challenges of dairy production in Nigeria, the federal government is launching a policy to drive significant transformation in the sector.
One area where we need intervention is the area of feed and fodder. We have already approved that we are going to implement Nigerian Resilience Animal Feed and Fodder System Project, NIRAPS. So that will take home the message of developing our feed and fodder industry, which is necessary if the dairy industry is to make the desired impact and the growth